let's start. So when you have a cone beam, generally you start with your cone beam, your data. So you should see CBCT. So that's our CBCT from our patient that we scanned. Let's just take that and just drag that onto the surgical guide module, because that's where we'll start whenever we're importing a DICOM. Usually it's a surgical guide type module. It's going to say they found the DICOM, try to use for stitching points.
Just the defaults. So what will we bring in? Is it just the CDC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Is everybody here?
Yeah. I assume I can do that, but you probably.
So we have a slider bar on the bottom, and this slider bar allows lower and upper just into the scene. And it said, oh, the lower we're going to prioritize as an auto alignment, and it auto aligned it to my DICOM, so it stitched it. You can see that it's working, but it brought the blue one just with it. And so the vertical, I took her at a regular bite when I scanned her in itero. But when I scan her in the cone beam, I'm usually putting cotton rolls between the teeth. Remember talking about that? Cotton rolls between the teeth so that you can see cuss tips and all that. So you're taking a cone beam at an open bite, and you're taking an itero at a closed bite. So just keep that in mind as you're putting all this data in, is that this blue is stitched to the green in her itero bite, her intraoral bite scan. The blue is not stitched to the upper, to the DICOM. But if I go up here and I click model and I click upper jaw model, and I tell it, and I go alignment. Now, when I drop down this arrow here, you can get all 9 alignment options, because you have 9 different ways to align something. Anywhere from just manually dragging it to automatic. So watch what happens when we hit our upper jaw model, we hit automatic. Now it's going to tell the blue model to go find the DICOM. And now they're going to be in the DICOM bite, when she was scanned with cotton rolls. So you just got to keep in mind like what's stitched to what for what point. So now the blue stitched to the DICOM. So now she's stitched in her DICOM.
Because when you downloaded those off of my itero, it said in occlusion.
In occlusion.
So that's how it thinks they should stay there in that relationship together.
So
right?
when you hide the DICOM, you can see she's wide open. So this is what the assistant scanned her in the DICOM with cotton rolls between her teeth.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But it's good to know that if you were working on the lower jaw and you said, no, I do want these models in her itero bite, you'd say upper model, align it to a model, the green model, but not using points, because we're not going clicking common points. We're just telling it to go align, and it'll say, oh yeah, I remember, and then we'll go right back to where they were. Does that make sense? Okay. So so now we've got our data in here. We understand. Here's your cone beam. Now let's change the slider. Let's put her face and show some skin. So now we're going to import the face scan. So everybody go File, and then you guys see where it says Import Face Scan? You guys see that option? Anybody not? Okay, we're going to click Import Face Scan. Now we're going to go find our scan. So go to where we desktop, Latoya, and you should see Face Scan OBJ. Now when I click it, it's going to show her face over here. Now what we have to watch here is, do you see how this is black and white? Let's keep an eye on that and see if it remains black and white. Sometimes, if it's not showing the color version, it's because the file has not been unzipped, but I think this is just giving us a preview. So when we click OK, no, okay, so this is,
It's my thing.
it's just coming up yellow.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to, supposed to have some color here. Let's see why this is doing that. 3D object. OBJ, that's right.
That's fine, but it should be in color.
Dr. B, do you remember why?
Let's see. Where did you export it from? Did you email it to yourself?
Yeah.
So there's an OBJ file, and there should be color data that associates with it.
That's why.
So you only exported the object, but usually you should send it to the whole folder.
That's why.
Yeah, do we still have the folder? Maybe we can email it out. For the course, did you just put everything in the computers? Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
So when we dropped all the files in over here, when you download it, it comes with a color file associated with it. So basically, we didn't include
It's
all
like
the
a
files.
skin for the object.
Skin for the object.
If anyone's
exactly.
being here.
Trying to think here if there's any way. Why don't you walk around and see if you could start showing them just how to do a black and white base scan, and then I'm going to try to pull up that data here.
Are all these computers connected to the network?
Yeah.
Why don't I can quickly upload it to the Google Drive. I can access it.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that where it's at right now?
It's all in Google Drive. That might take a second though.
So you can't align like this with the color like this?
So we can do it. We can do it in black and white. So let's go through the process.
Honestly, I don't think the color really matters in this section. If you guys just imagine it being in color,
Yeah.
like when you do it yourself, it will be in color because you're going to be uploading it from your phone.
Yeah.
Right now, the most important part is the stitching points.
Yeah. So let's do it in black and white. And it's just not going to look as cool because we don't have the color on it, but we'll get the point across. So this is normally color because there's another file that I didn't include in there. That's why it's not color. But we can go through the process here anyways. So we're going to open this model, and it's going to say, we're going to just go through a wizard here.
So that right there is the plane we have, and let's just hide it and use unless you 3D. Projection. Yeah. There we go. Now it's off.
Hey, is this good enough? I use this
I
drive.
don't even know why.
This is a drive images.
Also, my neighbor is really good.
Or are these files on these two?
And then use perspective. Yeah, that's the one.
Doesn't want to do it black and white?
That should be what it is. Yeah, and then there's a slider and then for the face, everything. Right. I'm gonna try to figure out here what's why it's not working. Thanks.
Yeah, bathroom break it.
Did you hear your face scan recorded?
No. So what I need help with is when he brought in the file of the,
Upper and lower down?
yeah.
Okay. So,
Were you able to
click
click there at all?
You
No,
Yeah.
I
Oh.
clicked on file, but I hadn't done anything yet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
this thing? No, no.
you already
Oh,
clicked the slider.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
that's-
kind of messed around with it.
I thought
Just
you were
look at
doing
it
this,
like
I'm like,
this.
actually, I was gonna do that, it's
And
fine,
then
you
I
don't
was
need
like,
to, but I thought,
Yeah,
all
that's
right,
good.
I'll do this later.
And now you just click
No,
file.
don't worry about it, I'll do it.
No, I'll do it. File and import.
Import, yeah.
This one here.
Import STL model. So first you stitch the itero scans.
So first you do the STL models
Yeah,
first.
I mean, you don't have to. You can do the face scan. It's not really, dependent on.
Sure,
the
but as far as
order of
following the
things,
steps
yeah,
here,
yeah.
and then you
Just
just,
Litway Cummings, so Litway C. And then you can click and shift and click both of them. So, yeah, unselect everything. just click one of them without shift, and then hold shift and click the lower one. Yep, and do OK.
So now it's importing both of them, and sometimes it aligns it, sometimes it doesn't.
I see.
So
If
the
it
next
is,
step
then
is
you
going to be to
move it in.
align them.
I got you.
And usually just, just click OK. It doesn't really matter. Because whenever you do the expedited importing two scans at the same time, you don't really know if it's asking you, is the upper in relation to the maxilla, is it in relation to the mandible? In your case, see, everything
Yeah.
worked out well.
Worked out good, yeah.
But can you see the issue here?
I mean, you have all this excess weird stuff here.
So that's part of the CBCT.
Okay.
You're going to run into that too. That's why we kind of included that in the course. Because you're not always going to have professional CBCTs that have no scatter, especially with patients with restoration, PFM, everything like that.
Okay.
So right now, what I see the issue is we're off the line of the itero, the upper one to
I asked him about
the upper one is in the bite case candidate.
Yes.
So do you remember how to get the upper itero scan stitching to the CBCT?
No.
Okay, so do you see the pattern to the right?
Yeah.
So first, if we're working with the upper jaw, you can see the upper jaw. Right? So that's the blue model. Nice. Very good. And now there's a little drop down menu.
This right here?
Yes.
Somebody was looking out
There's a little drop down on the bottom there. Expand it.
This one here?
Yeah.
No, you were gonna do that.
But not for the 6th ago.
Yeah, it was just me.
Now what? Oh,
Yeah.
I was the
Well, that
one
would've
that
been
was I was just the one that was gonna do the button.
It
I'm just gonna
basically,
drop
those are all the
files.
little
Yours
steps
is-
I was
your
missing.
files are on
Oh,
here,
yeah.
Brady.
and
Oh,
all
you
these
just
kind of
drop it,
steps.
right?
I'm just gonna drop them
by
all on these
yourself and
computers so
play
that
around
that
with
way
it. So
everybody
you see,
Mhm.
it did the averages of
Just
the
download
services,
an Android
and
version of this.
it's like, hey,
You
where
try
does
it.
this belong?
I tried one.
It looks at the CBCT that comes there, it's gonna stitch it to there.
Get it to work.
There we go, that's pretty good. Have you made surgical guides or anything like that yet on this software? One thing I like to do when making surgical guides,
So go ahead
we'll
and,
actually recommend it fully for any sort of thing where you're messing with diagrams and scans, is you have different views here. So go to views. And then let's do perspectives. So tangential 3, you just minimize that. You're already on the good one. Yep, that's the one I
On
like to
there?
use. Yeah, so
Minimize.
the expanded view.
This right here?
Okay, so now, do you see this cross section here? Scroll through that with the mouse wheel.
so,
Make sure your crowns are all intimately attached to the well of your scan. Because sometimes all these scatter points make the stitch really bad.
Okay.
And if your stitch is bad, then your surgical guide's gonna be.
So you manipulate it with the wheel to fulfill all this.
Your wheel knows this cross section. You're basically seeing if it anneals everywhere. You're basically seeing if it grabs the model everywhere you want it to grab the model. And in your case, this looks.
I mean, that looks pretty darn close right
Yeah,
there, right?
of course.
you drop this file in on his, in Latoya's folder, it should pop right up.
Are you just doing a flash drive?
Yeah, if you just right click this and hit copy,
Yeah.
Copy?
yeah, copy, and then just go desktop, and then Latoya, see,
Double click it.
and then right click in there,
Anywhere here?
yeah, in there, and then just hit paste.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, will you help?
I'll do that with other ones.
Okay.
These three?
Yep.
You already got that side?
Yep.
You're okay.
Yep. My desktop right here. That way I can show them on the big screen here.
Yeah, it works.
Instead of video, just have to take a bunch of pictures.
You didn't leave it plugged in here, right? You took it?
I took it off.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you testing the Android version?
I tried one too. It didn't work.
First try, I was-
I tried one or two apps. I couldn't get it to work. I'm like, dang it, I couldn't find those.
Why won't it just video?
All right, so Dr. Anderson, Dr. Pope needs it. All right, so we're all good now. We got the right file. I'm going to delete my other face right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, here.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I got the stretchy pants.
Yeah, I guess. Just lose it, huh?
Yeah, just- exactly.
So you guys see how it's in color now in the preview window? So this is how it's supposed to look. If it's black and white, that means you didn't have the complete file, like we didn't have the complete file the first time. Or it means that the file is still in a zip folder that you forgot to unzip it.
Are there two files or just?
Yeah, just one else.
It's yeah, so it should look like this. It should be a folder that's called head3d.2obj, and it comes with these three things in it. Basically, it's a 3D object, a skin, a colored skin, and then I'm guessing this MTL file is like a merger. Yeah. So when you got your color, now it knows, okay, this is a face scan. And now is where we get to collect some markers. Yeah.
Just do the same thing, just delete that big scan. I drag in the color version.
So if you check out Bellis and the scans that it gives you, the teeth are not very accurate, as you can tell. You see how the teeth are kind of like smushed?
Oh, yeah,
It's not, the teeth are not very good to stitch with. But we're going to do that anyway. You're going to tell it where to stitch the upper model. And you're going to give it 3 points. You're going to click Shift and click K9, K9,
Oh, you
K9,
Oh,
K9, and then you're going to final with the nose. So you're going to follow this little depiction up here. You're going to give it canines on both STL and the OBJ, and then click the nose, and then you're going to click Next. And now it's going to give you...
Put that on my way.
You don't have it in yours?
I don't think so.
No, I didn't do it on my
Oh.
All right, so let's get to this point here. So who's got the files up and playing with them?
How do you click on the nose on the STL?
So no nose on the
Click on
STL,
each canine and then what?
and then just the nose on the OBJ.
Okay,
And then, yep.
and that's it. And then you go to next. We
Can I
scanning
just
those
go
are
right
color
there,
focused?
just drag it in, or do I have to?
Not the color version.
This I suggest going through the wizard,
Way better.
because the wizard can allow us to cut the lips.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And let's see.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of, it's really nice, the software walks you through most of these
And then
things.
single click that one.
What do I do?
Yeah, and it should be colored now on the right.
If he's everything
There you go.
kind of lines up with
So
what
now
you yeah,
Yep.
yeah, let's do the
So
That's just to like give us a rough.
A rough.
seal
So
of
the
some-
one,
oh,
Yep.
All right.
and this is where you're going to notice you're like, man, this thing isn't really that stitched well. And that's where we're going to use the Dicon data to find out that. Yep. So you're going to shift click K9.
Okay, and now we'll wait for Ross to catch up.
Yep. K9. And then shift click the K9
Rotate
into the face.
roughly later too.
Get your files.
Yeah, I got the file, but I didn't, I clicked on the wrong one, I guess, I didn't mention here.
Okay. So
And now
let's
just
get.
go up to the front of her nose, right on the
so
tip
let's
of the
go to
nose.
panels.
She'd click on the tip of the nose.
And let's go to surfaces. So that way,
That's it,
and let's
and then hit the
delete
next
the
one on the
scan.
top right.
This one there?
Oh,
And then let's go file,
Yeah.
and then import face scan. And then let's click the folder, because that was the old one.
That was the old
That
one,
was the
yeah,
old
so
one.
that was the one I was supposed to click on right here.
Yep, click that, and then click below that. Now this should be in color and populate that over there. Yep, and now you're good to hit OK.
Alright.
Good, okay, you got that? So, you guys just get this thing close. Don't worry too much about the alignment right here, and let's just go to hit next. Because this is where we want to cut the lips out. So, this is where we're going to zoom in, and we're going to shift click our lip outline. So, you're going to look in here, you can zoom in as much as you want, and you're going to just start shift clicking some dots on the lips, because this is where you get to cut out the window of the smile. So you're just going to do a handful of dots here. And then you're going to tell it exactly what you want it to cut out. So this is the lip curve here.
How are you getting to that space scan?
So you have to be under like model editing or surgical guide. Turn model editing. And then file. Should be import base scan. Yep. Yeah, the wizard is nice for, and then go to the top up one. That's the second folder in there. The wizard allows you to go through the cutout feature really simply. So that's the last step here. Is just cutting the mesh to make these lips hollow. So now you can see exactly where we're going to build teeth. So when we hit next here.
She wouldn't look good without teeth then.
Yeah.
None of us are here.
Yeah, can I put this back in there like
And then, once we have.
This is how we motivate patients to floss and brush.
Yeah.
This is what you'll look like.
I said that'd be great. So you don't end up with affordable dentures, this is what you should do.
All right. So if you look here, you can see how that it's not very accurate on stitching. You see how that's like, we know, okay, that doesn't look quite right. It's close, but we can do better. And that's where the DICOM data can help us. So when we turn on the skin here on this DICOM data, we can now see like it's a little bit off. And this is where you guys will have more of an advantage when you have more skin on your guys' bigger field of view. But we can now go in and manually, if we go into model manipulation, I can manually manipulate this model to fit the skin a little bit better. And this is just where you can kind of play with the face scan a little bit and try to line up. All I have is her nose. And you can kind of move it around. And this is where you can tweak your.
Where are you doing this?
So I'm in model editing
Yeah,
and go to model manipulation panel.
that's what I meant, okay?
And then select your head 3D, your face, and then click manual alignment.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's just like doing the teeth again.
Does everyone kind of understand that concept of using the DICOM data? Because now after I use that, like, look, I'm getting closer here, right? Like I'm getting, okay, now things are starting to line up and like this, I know, okay, see, I'm still a little canted here. It is, it's challenging to do. And that's why if we have more DICOM data, it'll be easier. Like if your guys' scanner scans up near the orbit, you'll get the nose and the eyes to use as better reference points. And remember this, think about what we're using this for. So accuracy and like exact stitching, it's not like we're using this to place implants. This is just to help us kind of like set teeth in a rough, in a rough position.
Just so you can evaluate aesthetics and stuff.
Yeah.
As long as it's kind of close.
Exactly. It's an adjunct. And you know what? You guys might find that like you only use this for patient experience, wow factor rather than actual diagnosis. But it's a cool, it's a cool thing nonetheless to be able to digitize this patient. And one of my favorite things is here to turn on these different surfaces.
Now I get it, okay.
And you see how I made her face
You have to go to this
transparent?
lower bar and drag this over this way, showing the lips.
This one's important too.
That's the lips in the scan.
So just move the line and shift click it. Or click the down. Other thing.
How did you get her face transparent?
So you can right click the face sometimes, or if you go into the surfaces panel on the right and you click head 3D, that's the file type. On the bottom there's a transparency slider here. So we can slide the transparency up or down on the various models. So this is a really cool wow factor for the patient. Bring them in for a consult, show them their scan, their bone, their teeth, and you can say, they can feel like you have full control and confidence over all their anatomy.
Yeah, you have to use that slider bar on your diagram to get all your data to show.
Yes.
I was doing that at the beginning, I didn't understand what we were manually stitching. You're mainly just stitching her lips, right?
Yeah,
Because that's all that you captured. Uh-huh.
because I don't have, my cone beam doesn't take a big field of view.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just had it.
Maybe we spend enough money on stuff and then have to deal later.
There we go. Yep.
I sensed some sarcasm.
Yeah, that's nice, there we go.
So surfaces, select the model that you want its transparency, and then on the bottom there's a slider.
Yeah.
Toggle transparency.
What you're looking for is kind of like the cow appearance, like you're gonna see a slight bit of your CBCT, slight bit of your face scan, it means it's pretty close to being aligned.
So how, is it, would you just tip it?
Yeah, I would do this ring here, and I would tip her jaw forward, the other way. Yeah. And don't be afraid.
You guys feel like you're happy with that face scan picture?
The head 3D.
And keep in mind, you know, maybe what you have here isn't good, because she has cotton holes everywhere. So like that right there,
all the rings outside.
we're not going for perfect, like
You're in
Yeah,
a
that
Zoom.
was
This is like about where we want to be.
Yeah.
Because why are we using this? You're seeing Facebook.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. That's really good actually. I'd be happy with that.
That's what I'm not sure of, because I can.
And also,
You're in
those
surface,
cases
go to model
have
manipulation on the far right.
You can always compare it to a
And
physical
then,
location.
go up here and select
So
the
that
head.
little arrow moves the
Right
keyframe.
here.
And then it'll be on the head, right? Just on the upper jaw. So click on that.
That is a good way.
On the upper jaw model, you're gonna select which model you want. Now click on the head.
That face, using some of those landmarks.
And then, yeah, so there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can see it's a little bit off.
Even if you're doing
So,
like crowns
so
like
let's make sure.
5 to 12, like this feature is so nice because your midlines are going to be on the
Let's
left.
change your model to the head 3D. And now you can actually just drag the head. You click the
Okay, so
middle.
I'm just looking for the head.
So you can use the rings, the arrows, or
Yeah.
manually drag the whole
It
thing.
takes really soft pictures.
And this is
It's
where,
nice.
you know, I don't know how big a field of view
And honestly,
is that you have
photo-wise,
access
we're
to.
so limited.
It's not very big, okay, so this is what we have. Now,
But we're getting
again,
there.
like I was saying,
The soft
this isn't built for surgical guide.
But those,
This is just giving you
he's
a
got some
face
good
in the
photos.
scene so that you can idealize like where do you want teeth, show the patient, you know. It's just a cool adjunct. The face scan is definitely a bonus rather than like a necessity. Nice.
Yes, I can't really tell. It's hard.
It's really close though, you know, it's like for the
So,
purpose that, you know, you're hoping
You're
to use this for.
aligning,
Can I just, help me understand the bigger picture?
So what I was seeing was this blue right here, I was trying to bring it forward, but I seem to manipulate the arch a little
Key
bit.
thing is
Exactly.
like
Honestly,
for her,
let's
like
look
in
at
this case, she
Okay,
had focused
so
anterior
because
over
we're going to be
body,
aligning this to the
and we ended
CBT,
up doing
this
high
part
grades
right
on
here
her,
is a
and
little bit
her
redundant.
basal
Okay.
plane
this is more so if you're
supposed
using
to
a
be
wax-up
protruded,
and you don't have a
and
CBT.
I was
This
basically
aligns your
use
itero scan about to where the C19 nodes are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
so just click next. We want to cut out her mouth. That's the most important part here. So here we draw through. You shift and click around where the teeth are.
Just all around this border?
Yeah. So after you cut the mouth out and it's wizard, that's the only thing that's really what those are used for. Then you can make the CBC visible, make the skin visible, and then line up her lower quarter nose.
Present something, like you set teeth in it and show
That's kind of what we were working on here.
she didn't need, she was closed before I used her
Bless you.
own setting teeth.
And then next, I
And we had to do
Yes,
the whole
yes, if you're happy with that
pre-printed
cut.
hybrid space.
think so, I mean, we're just trying to outline the inside of the mount, right?
Like if I were to be like really picky.
Like, did you ever
maybe
show it to her and
start
that was kind of wow?
No.
I didn't, but I could, and that would have been great, but I did do that with that other guy that I was telling you about.
Next.
You know, him and his wife came in and we went through
There we
this
go.
stuff. And
Say hello.
depends on the patient, what they need, you know.
And next. Alright, so you know every patient line, that's okay.
I can't remember how I got out.
Make this
It's
one
out.
bigger.
Okay, so
And
if you
then
go to
we
surfaces,
model manipulation, actually it's not surfaces.
so this slider bar down here, right? We'll control.
I guess then you could do wax up.
Now,
Your wax
you
that
notice,
we did
so you did tweak the transparency on all of these. So turn that back up a little bit.
What were you doing there on that one?
Oh,
So generally you'd want to turn that dial all the way.
The scan up to
like
the upper
almost
lip?
to the up, so you can get the skin, right?
we
So
have
go back a
this
little
head,
bit.
we want to move right, that's your face scan. We want to manipulate the model.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Now,
in order to manipulate
turn from a
it,
profile,
we
you
usually
look
have
from her
stitching
right
points
side,
that we
rotate
want
the
to use,
scene.
even though we could.
Now drag her
Right,
face
but
forward
I
and
just
try to
like to do
fit
manual.
it into
Okay.
that
So if you
skin.
do manual alignment,
Does that make
then,
sense?
sorry, we should be.
So that's helping me, that skin
head
from the
movie,
CT is helping
see,
you
because
set
you
where
are
her
aligning
face
the
needs
head
to be.
in 3D,
Mhm.
and you can rename it to
Yeah,
anything you
it's
want,
pretty
like,
close.
just make it face scan, and then you use these big things and kind
And
of.
so that's where you can just sit there and just try to
slowly
figure out your own
turn
patient.
that
But if you have a race scan and your DICOM comes up to
So you're
here,
gonna step by
you're gonna
step,
have
it
eyes
doesn't
and
matter where you
nerves
move
to
it,
stitch
but
with more, which would be better.
kind of like a trial and error.
And we don't have enough data to do this really, really well. But you can get the point of how you can get this
Play with a few
scene.
viewpoints.
And then once you have that, you can click the
You can
head,
also, in order to
and
make
then
it
you can
easier
adjust
for
the
yourself,
transparency
you
of
see,
her
you can't really
face,
see
and you
through it.
can dial that back, and you
Make it a
can
little bit
toggle
transparent.
on layers, transparency. You can do a slider if you want to
Your
turn
CBCT
turn off the
is a little
cone
bit too far
down,
set back.
you can mess with all that
So her
stuff.
nose is not visible,
use
but
that
her
for
chin
your
is out,
diagnosis
like
of the
a
patient.
kind of class 3 education, so.
So now you can kind of digitize the patient.
How did you see the,
And you get it kind of close.
like, up there?
Yeah, get to that view.
This was
Yeah.
the.
So
the
this
clearance
slider right
right
here
there.
is gonna control your cone beam data to get to your
Power
job.
clearance where you
So
are
that's
on
right there.
the
So you want to get a little bit less transparency.
So you're just trying to line the two
Now,
up a little bit?
Yeah, so you're trying to line everything
You know,
up.
you can say,
Everything
"Oh,
corresponds to
you
everything
know,
else.
I've got,
If one thing's out of
got your
place,
case
then
all worked out here,
you're in the
you know.
right.
And I would,
So I'm not,
That's what
I don't see my, I'm not lined up as well.
you know, so I would.
So right here, if I want to see it, right, once you have it lined up to where you think everything is the right location, and we can definitely go around this longer, just for this, the purpose
Sure.
of the class, you know,
Yeah.
this will be pretty good. You can hide a CBCT,
It's better that,
that's
right?
our,
See how
that's
you
our
guys
job.
get closer.
But these, of course, are around to where she was scanned in the CBCT.
Right, right.
Best case scenario, you want to, if you're doing this therapy, for example, and you're not in the lower jaw, you can line the lower to upper, and
Now,
she'll be in the bite
now
scanner.
sky's the limit.
And it all depends on what project you're doing. But for this, our job is complete. We align our scans together,
When you set her
and
teeth,
now we can play
you can
around
use
with
this
everything
data
else.
here.
So because it's.
And a lot of this stuff, you said can still be done without an actual code, you just have to do
Oh
something.
yeah, this whole thing is aesthetic concepts with aligning
some sort of
to our
wax
face.
or something else.
Yeah, because remember how it was
Now you can see
supposed
her
to
face.
cannons
So
and
now
noses.
you
Yeah.
can go do
That's
what
when
you
you
did,
do that.
Yeah, that's
drag in a
enough to
whole
get
Is that an
the line up to
exaggerated
about
spot?
where they are
For her?
at the face. And why you need
I
that.
don't think so either,
I don't think
so.
so either.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and that goes back to
Yeah.
making sure that you're controlling the
Very good.
data acquisition.
Thank
so
you.
that,
Yeah, definitely.
let's say it's the vertical that you want, and then exaggerating smile. Well, hard to get them to hold a scan. You know,
You think you can get the lower jaw
Right.
aligned with the
Yeah.
upper jaw?
so there's just a little bit of practice.
Let's see here.
Cool. Okay.
Quiz time.
I know.
Yeah. So we're working with models, right? So it's a little delayed.
Oh, is it cool?
Yeah.
Nice.
For presentation.
Model manipulation?
Yep, yep, and it's already.
Lauren, are you getting audio?
Oh,
Can you
no,
get
But it's
feedback
okay,
on
if you
that?
wanna go through there, that's fine, that's a good stuff.
And then automatic?
And then your thought process should be, which model do we want to play with?
That button has
Probably a lower.
Yes.
And that's already clicked there.
So no, it's not.
now.
The head 3D is clicked. You see the selected model? It should be the green one. That's the one you want to change.
I have audio, it's just not.
Manual?
No, so up
It's not
here,
as close.
so you kind of go, either
It
the
was
version
red.
goes from the
Pull it
top.
out. I don't know how well they're playing out red. Hopefully.
So you want to
So,
manipulate the
very
lower
delicious.
jaw.
Maybe I should
Because
like
we're trying to
just
line it.
maybe I need to
I
go
got
all the way
you.
around here.
So the lower jaw, this is the
Told me
one
to
that's
go
going to
forward.
move.
I got you.
And now we want to associate that with the upper jaw. So then we'll move the lower to the upper. So then to model, because you're moving one model to the other model.
Okay.
Select destination, upper jaw, and we don't want to align using points because they're not the same model. So all you do is click OK.
Oh, we don't hit that?
No, because that's a different feature. There we go. That's her bite.
Stitched and cut. Did you go
Yeah, she has an open bite, but
Sure,
that's
sure.
always kind
Oh,
of.
you did. You just
Yeah.
dropped it.
I got you.
Yeah, I started points.
You did points.
Good.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, now it's easy to work
It's
with.
hard, huh?
You get a smile on your face.
So one of the yeah.
Good.
That's really close.
And she's smiling. You see that open, right?
Right.
Scans open, and she smiles, probably inclusion.
Yep.
Did you align your face
Yeah,
down to
they
the
see it, right.
Your face down to the CBCT. So you get the CBCT visible there. There we go. Yeah, see how it's canted? So now you want to select the face scan. And now you want to.
Does anyone want to play with face scans anymore before we keep going?
Yeah, now you can set it like whatever nose with the CBCT. So move it lower or higher.
A lot of info there.
Oh.
I mean, I guess the only other thing would be, can you manipulate the scan so that you could show them like, oh, here's where you are now, here's where we could get you.
Yeah. So that would be where you do that digital wax up.
Yeah.
So
And you import that
yeah.
before, after.
Yeah, so you'd have a couple surfaces put on. You'd have a surface that was like the original STL, and then a surface of their wax up, and then so they're you have them 3D face, and they're smiling, and then you can turn on the visibility of both those models and say before and after. So when I'm done with you, you're here. Before you're here, and vice versa. You can't change the vertical of the face scan, but assuming you scanned the face kind of the same, where you want them to be.
Yeah. It works. I just need to get better at it. Yeah.
The face scan thing? Yeah. Yeah, play with that. Did you find an Android one?
We just tried it. That's round 2. Failed. Big red.
Oh.
So not yet, no.
I've sure been digging in online looking for alternatives and like just seeing what people are doing. And they're either buying a big old fancy piece of equipment or using the Bellis from what I've seen. But Bellis is being racist. Yeah. Yep. And so this goes hand in hand with that wax up. So if you did a wax up, yeah. Like if you got somebody with just really shattered teeth and you did a wax up and you had their face in there, it'd make you look pretty high tech to show them all of that and then the after and what you'd like to do for them. So it's just all kind of hand in hand. And yeah. And you can change the colors on those models to white, right? So you can change them all.
It's perfect, man. You never have to worry about any of that.
So the file wizard, if you go up to the file and import face scan, but you have to be in the model editing module. I don't know why they make you do that, but.
So would I have to redo my face?
What's that?
Do I have to redo face scan?
You'd have to re-import it, yeah, and realign it. Yeah. You could cut. You can go to the cut module and cut, but it doesn't do it quite as well when you cut that. When you go to like surfaces and like cut out the lips. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. Would that be a model?
So go to panels, type surfaces, and now you get your surface panel. Now click your head, and then if you click cut here, you can cut it. So this one is different because you don't get the points. Remember, this is like you just have to do that, so it's not as good. And then the downside about this is like, well, that's going to mess up because you're like circling back on itself.
Very cool. I'm in Mesa, Oracle Ventures. Oh, cool. And it's been good, and we're just. Yeah. No, he's where is it? That guy.
So you have this selected. Remember, you got to
Oh,
select.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'm going to go to the next slides and finish up. What do you want to do? Noon lunch.
Yeah, that's kind of what they were planning on. I'll go confirm that.
Okay.
Are we doing mesh mixer functions?